Good morning. Welcome back to Crypto Warehouse, the 10th of April 2025, 11 a.m. Central European Time. Probably a lot later in the afternoon, wherever you are around the world. And we've been gone for a couple of days. We were not streaming on Tuesday and Wednesday. The Oracle had his birthday yesterday. Thank you, Velvet Rope, for wishing him a happy birthday, and to Kishan and all of those that wished him happy birthday in Telegram. So, what are we going to go through today? Well, first of all, we're going to talk about big trouble in Little China. We're going to talk about the tariffs. We're going to talk about the FOMC. We're going to talk about some other coins today, of course. The headlines, as you'd expect, are completely dominated by the tariff wars. And it's, again, I've said this a few times, it's very difficult to find things to talk about when nobody wants to talk about anything other than tariffs, Powell, Trump, China. It's very hard. It's like finding a needle in a haystack. But we are going to talk about the EU. The DWF Labs have launched a fund for crypto startups. We're going to look at a Doge ETF application. We're going to look at how Pakistan is going to use its excess power to generate Bitcoin. So we do have a little bit of variety in the show. We've also got a massive day today. This is the CPI day today. And we're going to have a little look at that. But before we begin, I'm going to have a little chat to everybody, as I did on Monday. Monday's show was pretty much me just talking to you guys and telling you what I was thinking. And I was saying I'm either going to be 100% right or 100% wrong. And I haven't changed my stance, as you'd expect. We are in a period where everything has been suspended for 90 days, but it doesn't mean it's over. What it means is that it gives everybody 90 days and a countdown to come to terms with what Trump wants via the tariffs. That was always the plan. I've had a lot of good conversations with people on X about this. And the two main points that I want to raise, and I said them kind of on Monday. The first one is catastrophization is a term where the media choose the worst possible outcome. Okay? Catastrophization. It's a mouthful, I know. And it's where they go to the nth degree, where they talk about things that are never going to come to pass, things that are never going to happen. But they like to do this because it fills you with fear. And we all know that the media's job is to sell newspapers. And to do that, they are going to fill you with fear. So catastrophization is the buzzword. And I have said from day one, these tariffs were never going to last. People were talking about a recession in the summer. People were talking about thousands upon thousands of people being made redundant because of these tariffs. It was never going to happen. It's a bargaining tool. Donald Trump is striking a deal on tariffs around the world. They are $2 trillion a year in debt. Doge is going to remove $1 trillion a year from the budget, or it's going to try and get there. It's already got 200 billion saved. And via tariffs and renegotiations of tariffs, Trump is trying to rebalance the imports and exports by another trillion. Okay? It's simple. 2 trillion, we're going to save half at home, and we're going to try and save half with our export partners. That is its simplest term. There's lots more caveats than that. So Trump is renegotiating. It's going very, very well. Now, the second part of that is Trump knew what would happen to the market. He knew what would happen. The worst day in history, the worst day in 20 years, smashed Japan, smashed China, smashed the S&P. It was all to do with his master plan. People can call him an idiot. People can call him a clown. People can call him what he wants. But nothing's worked in the past. That's what he's trying to do now. Now, the second thing is, and this is the bone of contention that I've got with a lot of people, America, and he wants to do this, by the way, America's manufacturing base is pretty much non-existent. Yes, they've got farms. Yes, they've got arable land and all that kind of stuff. But you see these stupid comments about iPhones costing $15,000 and $25,000 if they're made in America, okay? It's utter crap. He knows that you can't start making iPhones in America today. He knows the likelihood is they won't be making iPhones in America probably ever. Okay? But it's not the point. Where are the iPhones made? Why did he say we're going to start making them in America? Because he's giving his opponents in China an example of what degree and what length he wants to go to. Now, the video that I haven't made yet is about automated plants, manufacturing plants which run 24/7, 365, fully kitted out with robots, no human intervention other than maybe foremen to oversee things. They exist in China, they're going to exist in America. And who's going to provide those plants with all of the robots that are needed to do the work? Of course, Elon Musk is, because what happened before the election? Elon Musk showed you the robots that he was rolling out. So we're going to see a manufacturing base made in America, which is going to be automated. There's going to be gigafactories throughout America that are going to make lots and lots of goods. Does it mean it's going to make an iPhone? No, it doesn't. But it means that they will have a manufacturing base in the future. How long does it take to build a gigafactory? Go back and work out how long it took Elon Musk to build that gigafactory. And probably by the end of this term, there will be some form of American-built gigafactory or factories in America which are fully automated. And Trump's job is to get the unions on side with this via some kind of employment in those factories. That's his plan. Okay? So they're the two bones of contention that people have, because people expect you to believe that he thinks they're going to build iPhones in America, and he couldn't be as far from the truth. The worst thing you can do is underestimate anybody in charge of any country. Okay, they might have vested interests and they might be doing it for self-gain, but these people in power don't tend to be, on the whole, idiots. Okay, now we've had our fair share in the UK. We had Liz Truss, we had Boris Johnson. Okay, we've had John Major. Now they come across as idiots and clowns, but 10 years later, when you sit down with them to discuss what they were trying to do, they're very intelligent people. Well, maybe it's the media that make them out to be idiots. Maybe they just try and sound like idiots. Who knows? But they're not. And Trump is the same. Trump's been doing this for 40, 50 years. He's not a clown. And I just think that the media hype around this has been extraordinary. And there are people out there that are talking about this who are very clever, who disagree with it. And I agree with a lot of their points. But you have to not read the press and think that this is the end of the world, because it certainly isn't. Now, a lot of good mornings to people in chat. Good morning to Kishan and Mags. Good morning to KB's in chat. Hidden Agendas, Danny is in chat. There's a lot of people in chat. I hope you're all really, really well. Now, what I want you to do, actually, you can do it in chat or you can do it on Telegram later. I want you to tell me what kind of stream you actually want, or whether you want a different type of stream. Do you want me to sit here and go through news articles? Do you want me to sit here and go through charts? Do you want me to sit here and talk to you guys about specific things? There's very little in the way of a feedback loop ever on these types of streams. I watch people and they do these streams and they just do the same stream every day. It's the same stream over and over again. What would be good to know is there a certain type of stream that you like? The chatty streams? Do you want me to shut up and just go through the articles? Do you want me to not do any articles and do charts? Let me know in chat if there's any type of show you would prefer. And I will try and wangle it in maybe on a Friday to do a different type of show, or a Thursday or whatever. Excuse me, whatever it might be. Now, I must admit one thing. I am a little bit worse for wear today. Not hungover, tired. Because the Oracle's birthday yesterday. Legendary. Good morning, Jan. I'd like to know about cold wallets, please, Mike. Okay, well, what we'll do is at the end of the show, I'll go through cold wallets. And that's probably going to be in about 40 minutes. But I am going to do cold wallets, certainly. I think it's a very interesting topic, and I have a different opinion to pretty much everybody else out there. Right then, where are we? I'm going to do the Bitcoin chart as well today, and I'm going to do the Solana chart to kind of show you. We're back at above 80,000. We're at 81.4. We're up 5% and a bit. Ethereum is back from the dead, if everybody believed it was dead, nearly $1,600. Tether is still alive, as you'd expect. XRP has just dipped below $2. BNB still below $600, and Solana has just left the kill zone. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit later on, because you had your chance, but you might get another chance. There's a possibility that we're not out of the woods yet. So you had a chance to get Solana between $100 and $110. We've now left that zone. Maybe we never go back there again, and maybe we do. We will have a look at that. Right, gainers then. I need to whiz through this because I've been talking for lots. The coin that I won't mention is up 30%. I do not trust this coin at all. Flare is up. BitTenza is up. Sonic is up. Remember Sonic, I got in at 50 cents. And then I sold, shorted Bitcoin, closed the short, and then rebought back into Sonic. So Sonic is a coin that I am holding and have done for the last 3 or 4 weeks. It's just noisy, and noisy coins do well. And one thing that I've personally learnt in the last maybe 2 or 3 years is noisy coins do well. And then there's a big sell-off. So I'm going to hold Sonic for a while and then sell off. Ondo is recovering. Render, Hedera. Another thing to bear in mind, another tip. After these kinds of corrections to the downside, these coins that recover faster than Bitcoin, they tend to be the coins that people cherry pick to buy back into. So a good, not the best strategy, but a good strategy is to maybe, on a day like this, go and have a look at what coins have gained the most over the last 24 hours. Because we've had the relief of the 90 days, and these are the coins that are recovering faster. Bitcoin's up 5%. So everything that is up more than 5% is actually growing faster than Bitcoin. So some of these coins in here, Ondo clearly is a big one. Render is good. Hedera, yes. Walrus is a new token. I think it's on... Is it on Sonic? No, I don't know. It's on one of the major chains anyway, one of the newer chains. WorldCoin, absolute trash. Remember that was $5? And I told you this coin was trash. Still trash to this day. SHIB, Algorand is up, Casper is up, Injective, XRP has recovered, Pendle. Lots of good gainers. And these are the coins that haven't kept up with the bounce. And again, I don't know what's down here. Ton, under $3. Tezos, Zcash, EOS. Again, with EOS, it's changed into a Web3 bank. Maybe that pump is now finished with. I don't know. Toncoin, I'm certainly surprised to see down there. The rest of them, I'm not. And as you would expect, the stable coins are down there. The coins that have gained the least, Polkadot, Story, Gold, yeah. IMX, which I'm surprised about. That's a decent project. Quant is an incredible project, and it never moves. Never moves. And I don't know why. Now then, we move on to the serious stuff and the message. Okay? I want you, next time this happens, to be like a gorilla. Okay? That's my message to you. Okay? I want you, the next time media and people on X tell you that the world is going to end because of Donald Trump, I want you to be like Daddy Gorilla. Okay? I just want you to sit there and ignore them all. As I told you on Monday, just ignore it. It will pass, okay? It will try and get your attention. It will try and annoy the pants off you. Just ignore the baby gorilla, okay? Because that's what the mainstream media want to do. The world is going to end. The world is brilliant. The world is going to end. The world is brilliant. It's all it ever does is talk to you in extremes. And it's It's crap. It's absolute crap. Okay, move on to some serious news. Right, Gary set a pretty low bar. The whip tells us that he expects incoming SEC chairman Paul Atkins will surpass the standard set by chairman Gary Gensler. I don't agree with this. Much as I don't like Gary Gensler, I don't think you should be laughing on somebody's grave. Gary Gensler was told by the previous administration to run the SEC the way he ran the SEC, because normally the incoming president appoints the head of the SEC. Jerome Powell isn't appointed by the President of America, but Gary Gensler was appointed by Joe Biden. And if within the White House walls under Biden, they were told to suppress crypto adoption, it's not Gary Gensler's fault. Again, going back to the John Major and the Liz Truss people, they come across as idiots and clowns. But when you actually sit down with them, they do, in some instances, maybe not Liz Truss actually, they do have a lot of serious things to say. And Gary Gensler is a lecturer at MIT. He's not an idiot, but he's been told to perform a role. So I don't agree with this, irrespective of which side of the fence you sit. Calling somebody and saying they set a low bar it's trash talk, and I don't like that. You should respect your predecessor and say that I'm going to build on their work. That's all that happens. Again, the end of the world, Japan was going into recession. Japan was finished as a nation. All of those, Sega Mega Drives nowadays, PlayStation 5s will have to be thrown in the sea because it's all over. And now the Nikkei is up over 10%. I'm not saying that this is the end of it, by the way. Remember, it's a 90-day pause. So in 3 months' time, or maybe 10 weeks' time, we are likely to have this kind of volatility again, unless the trade deals are all signed. So this is a 90-day pause that Trump has put in. So you should expect to see the recovery in the markets. You should expect to see, the S&P going back above 5,000. You should expect the FTSE to go back above 8,000, whatever it is nowadays. So the markets are going to recover because the certainty is back. We've now got 90 days of normality. And again, this is a long thread, but it's an interesting one. Jim Cramer said over the weekend that Black Monday was coming, the worst day in the history of stock markets since time immemorial. It's going to be the worst Monday. And then yesterday, the best day since 2008 if you stayed the course. Okay. This man, and I use this term very seriously, is an idiot. And pretty much every major pick he's had has been wrong. Pretty much. I think he's got a 90% success rate at failure. And that is some record. I don't know how he does it. Okay? I don't know how he does it. But I don't know why you would ever go near the CNBC Investing Club with him in charge. Okay? Because there is somebody called Inverse Cramer. And it's a Twitter account. And it trades against Cramer. And it's up against Cramer massively. So again, I personally think the recession is going to hit in 20. Certainly, it is 2 quarters, so half a year of negative growth. And again, think of it this way. If an economy shrinks by 0.1% in 1 quarter, and in the second quarter it shrinks by 0.2%, that's a recession. Now, a lot of people are being told that a recession is again the end of the world, and we're going to go into a recession like we had in 1900s, 1918, 1914, the deep recession. That's what you're told, and we've come a long way since then. A recession is simply 2 quarters of negative growth, but that negative growth isn't going to be -8 and -9%. It's going to be 0.1, 0.2, 0.3. That's it. And again, they will absolutely throw the book at Trump, because he came in to promote growth in the economy, growth in the markets, growth in business, and but we've been on the recession's been on the cards before Trump came in. So again, I think we're going to have a recession. I just don't think we've got enough time this year to have a recession. Now then, the big day today is Thursday, the 10th of April. These are lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of times and things that we don't really care about. Core CPI. That's what we care about. This is for March. This is inflation, basically. So the inflation data is coming out. The prediction is 3.1. And this is going to come out fairly early, 8:30. So the markets will open at the same time the CPI data comes out. And I would expect there to be more bullish news if it's 2.8, 2.9, and I would expect the markets to come back down if it's above. Now, given that we've been told that the price of eggs, the price of oil, the price of energy has come down in February and March, I'd expect it to come in under 3%. Some people are even saying 2.5%, which I think is a bit extreme. I think if it comes under 3%, then we're certainly going to have a good day and maybe a good week. So hold on to your hats. In about 5 hours' time, we're likely to see some kind of bounce or dip. I'm going for a bounce today. I think the CPI data is going to come in under 3%, maybe not 2.5, maybe 2.9, something like that, maybe. Right then, Bitcoin hit 82,000 as Trump tariff reversal triggers a rally. $350 million in shorts were liquidated. It was always going to happen. When there's a big move to the downside and the press are telling you that the world is coming to an end, you're going to short. And that's because you listen to the press. And that's you being an idiot. Personally, if we've gone from $90,000 to $76,000 and then you're shorting, you're not taking into account a relief rally based on anything, based on Trump coming out and saying, I like the president of China, or Trump coming out and saying, I like the EU. Any little thing like that will cause a relief rally. And maybe this is what we are in now. Maybe we're in a relief rally. And maybe when we show you the Bitcoin chart in a minute, you'll see why we could be in a relief rally. And maybe we even come down to 72 to 74,000 again. So the shorts got liquidated, as you would expect. It's human nature when the price goes down to keep shorting, because people just don't think about going long because the press feed them negativity. The same way at 110,000 or 109,000, when we're approaching all-time highs again, if we do approach all-time highs again, people will be talking about 150, 200, 250, 500,000, whatever it might be, and everyone will be going long, 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 long. Then the sharks will come in and look for liquidity, and liquidity might sit at 98,000, and then suddenly we're at 98,000 and we're going into a death spiral and it's all over and everybody shorts, and then the whales come in again and push the price back up to 104,000 and everybody gets liquidated, and it is the same old tale, the same old tale. So you have to be very careful when you follow some of these things. So Trump's announced 90-day period of time. It gives everybody time to negotiate and plan things and decide where we're going to go. Everything gained yesterday. XRP gained, ADA gained, everything was up. Everybody's happy. We're at $2. Again, we don't need to spend too much time on this. We've already pretty much talked about it. But I want to show you the Bitcoin chart because there's a very, very, very important line that I've had on this chart for probably a couple of weeks. And we're at that line again. It's as if, by magic, these prices are drawn to patterns. And I don't know why that would be. So this is the Bitcoin chart. And this was the nice little pink line that I drew. Now, this channel that we are in, look where we came to. Yesterday, we were down here. The world was ending. Did we put in a higher low? Maybe we did. But look where we came up to. We came up to this imaginary line that I drew. I don't know how long ago. Every time we come to that line, we get rejected. We come to the line, we get rejected. We come to the line, we didn't come down too far. We came to the line, we got rejected. And guess what? We are back at that same line. Now, if CPI comes in at 2.8, for example, today, where would we be looking? I would be looking at a move towards this line here, which is about $87,000. That would be my next line. Why? Because, again, we got rejected off the bull market support band 4 times. 4 times we got rejected off it. So if the CPI data does come in and it's all happy days, it's 2.7%, better than expectation, inflation's under control, everyone's a winner, then we break up to 87,000. Maybe we go higher, who knows, but that would be my target, 87,000. Now, if CPI data comes in and it's not looking too good and something else happens, China imposes a 5,000% tariff on bourbon or something like that, then again, we could just come all the way back down again. Okay, so we're stuck below this line. You know, we can't get above this line. We're in this channel. It's great that we've had this bounce to 82,000, okay? Because people out there at 74,000, 75,000 were getting quite scared. And we've had a good increase. Think about it. We've had a 10% move to the upside. It's nice, but we're still in a range. And again, recency bias. If we go back to here, we were at $95,000 in March, and now we're at $81,000. It's good, but we're still in a downward trend. We're still moving down. We've got to break something, and things do break. You know, we can go back and we can find some channels. You know, I'm sure if we drew something along this line here, I'm sure, you know, we could put something like that. And we're in this channel, we're in this channel, we're in this channel, and then we break down. We can't get back into it, and then we do that. Okay, so you can draw patterns wherever you want on a chart, but this pattern has held remarkably well. Now, that line over here, this is the Fed rate decision. That is the next time we're going to get the rates. Now, we could quite easily do this until the rates are cut and QT ends and QE starts. Maybe, but we don't know. At the end of the day, we don't know. We've stayed in the channel. We've come down to the midpoint of this channel. We've had a relief rally back to the top, but we haven't broken it. Now, if we were here today, I'd be happy. I'd be like, you know what? We've broken out the channel. We now need to stay out the channel for a couple of days and then have a crack at breaking above, what's this, $92,000. But we haven't. We're still here. So much as it's great news where we are, it's not the end of the road. And yes, you should feel relieved a little bit that we have some positive news, because there was a good chance we were going to go down towards 69,000. Very good chance we're going to go down there, but we're not there now. Right then, here he is. This man is probably the biggest annoyance to Trump in America. There's plenty of people that annoy him around the world, but this man won't do as he's told. And Trump doesn't like to not get what he wants. Trump always wants to get what he wants, because Trump is, at the end of the day, he's slightly petulant, he's slightly childish, he's like a spoilt child, okay? Now, you can think of that what you will. You can not like him. You can want word salad Harris in charge. That's fine. But he won fair and square. And this is his main obstacle now. And this is Chairman Powell. Now, in the UK, we've got a similar thing in the UK, but we don't really have clashes. The Bank of England was separated from the UK government many, many years ago because the government at the time, what would happen is, I don't really want to give you a history lesson because it's not really that type of thing. But basically, if you come to the end of your 4-year term, so let's say you get to January and your election is in July, you can turn around, if you control the Bank of England, and you can cut interest rates from 4.5% to 2%. And then you give people 6 months of having loads of money. And everyone gets to the end and you turn around and say, look how rich you are. Look how rich we've made you. You know, interest rates have come down. Your mortgage is, you're paying $500 a month less on your mortgage. You're all happy. And you'll go, you know what? I quite like Mike. I want him to be president of Uzbekistan for the next 4 years. And you all vote for me. And then the following day, I put interest rates back up to 4.5% and you're back to losing $500 a month. That's why you have to have a monetary system separate from the government. A monetary system that controls money printing, that controls interest rates, the value of your currency. It has to be separate from the government because governments will abuse their power. So that's why you need a Chairman Powell, which Trump doesn't like, because Trump wants to control everything because he's very close to being a dictator at the end of the day. So, my eyes, I'm very tired, by the way, as you can probably tell. So, the FOMC minutes came out, and this is basically how they were discussing quantitative tightening. That's taking money out of the system. So, when you have inflation, you drain the money out of the system, it slows inflation down, but it makes everybody poorer. Now, QE is printing money to put into the economy to make the economy go faster. So QT has to stop and then QE has to start. So the Treasury runoff cap has been cut from 25 billion to just 5 billion. That is peanuts in the grand scheme of things. The decision has broad support, but not everybody agreed. Some policymakers, including Chris Waller, pushed back, saying they prefer to stick with the original faster pace. I totally agree, by the way. I think it should be a sharp beginning, a solid move, and then a sharp end. I don't think this like namby-pamby, let's push it up and turn it down, push it up and turn it down. It doesn't do anything to the economy. People need the economy stimulated. The faster you get to where you want to get to, the better. And then you can start re-energizing the economy and then make people feel like they've got more money, basically. But you've got inflation under control. Inflation's been under control now in America for about 5 or 6 months. Towards the end of Biden's reign, inflation is under control. So the minutes were printed. The debt ceiling is what Trump and Musk are trying to fix. The meeting that was in March, we've not got one, I believe, in April. We're going to have one in May. They want a slower pace, which I don't necessarily agree with. But these minutes show how the Fed are thinking. So again, when Chairman Powell stands up and says, I'm being really, really hawkish right now, that's a negative outlook for crypto because it's risk on assets. If he comes out and says everything's cool, everything's under control, we're going to start cutting rates this year, that's dovish, crypto will go up. So again, it's good to see the notes because it shows that when there's a unanimous agreement on where things go, that can be a good thing and a bad thing. When there's disagreement, it means we're turning a corner. So it means some people are in favour of QE, some people are in favour of QT, some people are in favour of a slowdown. And when you get to that indecisive mode, what will happen next is a few more people will want QE, and then you'll see a split in favour of QE. So it doesn't just go from 7-0 in favour of QT to 7-0 in favour of QE. It kind of goes 7-0, 5-2, 4-3, 2-5, 0-7. So keeping an eye on the notes is a good thing. And again, I think I was watching Ben Cowan the other day, and he said that he'd read the Fed minutes from February or January. And he was like, who reads the Fed minutes? Nobody. I read the Fed minutes and it tells me exactly what I need to hear. So again, it's interesting to read that. Right, Ethereum struggles may be over. Analysts see potential for a strong price boost. Let me very quickly keep an eye on chat because I think there's quite a few messages in chat. Good morning, Mags. I hope you are well. Kishan, Jan. I like the stream as it is. Do whatever you think you should do. Do not shut up. I'm very interested in your opinion because you look at news, events, and charts. Unveiling the news underneath the news. I try. That's the key. Nice bounce. Good morning, Eugene. I hope you are well. Yeah, I think the point is, it's easy to sit here and just read news, but I think it's important for me to try and give a different opinion on the news. I said this on Monday. If you listen to the same people saying the same thing, you're going to end up agreeing with them. And the best example I can give you is World War Z. World War Z, the 7th man or the 11th man, or whichever one it is, I can't remember now. And his job was to absolutely disagree with everybody else and to have a dissenting voice. And I try, I'm never perfect at it, to be that dissenting voice. So if everybody's screaming that we're going to go to $500,000, I'm going to sit here and say, I don't see how we do that. If everybody's telling us we're going to go to $25,000, I'm going to sit here and say, I don't think we're going to do that. So I'm going to try and keep that kind of cynical approach, I would say. Ethereum is the second largest cryptocurrency by market cap, and it's faced declines. It's been massively, massively oversold. It's been battered by geopolitical tensions and market uncertainty. Will Ethereum's price recover? Experts weigh in. Ted Pillows recently highlighted a series of major events scheduled for May that could drive Ethereum's price upward, including the surge in tokenization. He drew people's attention to the Pectra upgrade, which of course is the one that we covered last week. That was on May the 7th. I also said to you at the time they should have made it May the 4th. Again, geeky things mean things in crypto, okay? If you've got a picture of Vitalik Buterin dressed as Darth Vader saying May the 4th be with you, okay? That would have been fun. But no, May the 7th, pointless. Right, the introduction of ETH staking for ETFs. This for me is the big one, okay? This for me is the big one. Let me just make sure I'm watching. I've got the stream on in the background to make sure basically the stream works. I think this is the big thing. So you've got all these ETFs that the rich people in America are buying, and they can't stake them. So there's no yield. And one of the big things about proof of stake is you stake your assets like you would put your money into a bank, and the bank pays you 0.5%. ETH pays you 2.8%, 2.9%. Now, this is being underappreciated in my opinion. BlackRock take your $100,000 and every year take $500 off you. That's their fees. Now, if the price of Ethereum never changes, you will have 99,500 the following year, 98,900 the following year. You know what I mean. So over time, the value of your Ethereum goes down. And of course, they talk about, price appreciation. So, maybe it's worth $104,000 next year after fees. With this, it completely changes the dynamic of every single ETF that is going to come to pass apart from Litecoin. Every single one is going to change when this is approved. XRP as well, but XRP are going to work on staking as far as I'm aware. So Solana ETFs, ETH ETFs, what else is coming that's got staking involved? Maybe Hedera or Algorand, maybe they've got the possibility of it. So ETH staking means after fees, if the price doesn't change, your 100,000 becomes 102,500, 105,000, 107,500, whatever it might be. So this is massively, massively bullish for Ethereum. Why? Because a bank in America pays you 0.5% interest. This pays you 2.8%. Maybe BlackRock turn around and say, we're not going to charge you a fee. It's completely free. There is no fee at all with this ETF. And we're going to pay you 2.3% a year. And everyone is going to buy this. Okay? I'm not talking about it going to $10,000 an ETF, an Ethereum. but I am talking about price appreciation. And this, to be fair, has hampered the ETF. Now, there are downsides, of course. Who gets the voting rights? BlackRock. Do we want that? No. Who gets the voting rights? ARK Invest. Do we want that? No, we don't. But it's a side to be taken. So the upgrade, the staking yield, all of these things are going to help Ethereum's price. I'm not sure it's going to push Ethereum up by $1,000 because from where we are now, that's a 66% increase. Let's aim for $2,000, shall we? If you were to invest $10,000 in Ethereum 7 years ago, you'd have $10,000 today. Trump destroyed us. Again, people are being very bearish on Ethereum. And again, you got to understand, as long as Bitcoin dominance goes up, as long as Bitcoin carries on the way it's going, we are not going to see any alt season. Okay, there's no alt season until Bitcoin dominance breaks down. And if Bitcoin dominance goes up, what's the point of buying anything else? Just buy Bitcoin. Right, let's move on very quickly. This is the Ethereum chart. The 2 eyes example, yes. That was one of the things that I talked about in the video yesterday. When you have one eye to see things with, you've got no depth perception. So if you cover your eye, you don't know where things are in front of you. Whereas if you look at it from both sides, left and right, you've got a depth perception, and that was the analogy I used in the OG video yesterday. Right, Ethereum. I mean, we could drag this up here, I suppose, but this was a nicer pattern. This goes back to Feb. Again, Ethereum hasn't broken out. Sorry, not Ethereum. Solana hasn't broken out. We've got a lot of different ranges to get above. I mean, we're way up there. That's a long way off. I think very similar to Bitcoin, we're in this downward trend and we need to break out, and we haven't broken out. And until we break out, we're stuck down here. The CPI data could come in and it could be cool, and that would be massively bullish today. If we go and we see really cool CPI today, I could see $125 Solana, and I could see an $86,000, $87,000 Bitcoin. But again, if it comes in at 3.1 expectations, and it's a nothing burger, then maybe we're stuck at 82, 81. If we can hold above 80,000 for the next few days, that would be great, because we've had a lot of excitement. Let's call it excitement. Right then, moving on. EU regulator crypto assets pose no significant risk to financial stability. I sat here 2-3 weeks ago and told you that Ursula van Andres, whatever she's called, Van Winkle, the head of the EU, the supreme leader of Europe, the German, no, can't call her too many names. She was saying that Bitcoin is an existential threat to the euro. It's going to bring down financial markets. It's going to ruin the world. And we are seeing a 180. Okay, now, there was a famous Liberal Democrat in the UK called Paddy Ashdown. And he was the head of the third party. They weren't ever going to win an election. They weren't ever going to do anything, right? And he got the nickname Paddy Pants Down, okay? Because he did more U-turns, okay, than somebody lost on the streets of Barcelona, okay? He just constantly did U-turns. And Ursula van Winkle, whatever she's called, she's done more U-turns in the last 2 weeks than Paddy Pants Down has ever done. We're going to take on America. We're going to show them who's boss. We're going to tell them what's happening. We've already agreed with Trump that we're going to do this, and we are Trump's friends. The Bitcoin is an existential threat to the EU. It's going to bring down the euro. It's going to crush us. But it doesn't pose any significant risk financially to us. What side of the fence are you on, Ursula? What side of the fence are you on? Okay? The softening of some of these leaders has been nothing short of miraculous. Okay? It's as if they've all had their own epiphany. Okay? Of course, Bitcoin isn't a threat to the euro. Of course, it's not a threat. Is gold a threat to the euro? No, of course it's not. Is oil a threat to the euro? No, because you're comparing apples with pears. The euro is a wholly controlled, wholly printed, wholly manipulated currency, okay, run by the EU to the detriment of its member states, okay? Many of you won't remember, but when Greece was in trouble, Germany bailed them out. If Greece had had its own currency, what would it have done? It would have devalued its own currency. It would have slashed interest rates, and it would have driven potentially the exports of wine, the exports of its other goods. It would have driven its tourism industry through the roof. You'd have had your €99 holidays or your $150 holidays in Greece, and it would have stimulated its own economy. This was whatever, was it 10 years ago? And what happened was it had the euro. And the euro basically controlled interest rates, controlled the value of the euro, and it basically stifled Greece, it stifled Italy, it stifled Ireland, and it stopped them from getting out of the hole. The UK was in a similar boat, and what did it do? It devalued the pound and it cut interest rates. The two things that you have to be able to do, like two little strings on a puppet. So the EU, talking about risk to financial stability, it is in itself a risk to financial stability, because Northern Europe and Southern Europe, they work in two completely different ways. But because Northern Europe controls the Senate, Southern European countries suffer. That's not how it should work. Crypto assets are 1% of global financial assets. Again, it's 1% now. It'll be 2% soon. It'll be 5% at one point. Maybe it tops out at 10%. Who knows? But crypto assets are here to stay. And let's not call it crypto assets. Let's call it Bitcoin. Bitcoin is 66% of crypto. It's going to get towards gold at some point. We're not going to talk too much about this, simply because I'm not that interested in what the EU have got to say. All I will say to you is, if you listen to what they have to say and take it as gospel, you will be so surprised when these things happen. And what you should do is you should listen to a dissenting voice that tells you that it's absolute crap. It's absolute crap that it's a threat to the euro. And they've turned around pretty much here and said, everything we've just said for the last 3 years has been a load of rubbish. The DWF Labs opens a $250 million liquidity fund for token projects. I'm going to have to be quick because I'm going to talk about the cold wallet in a minute. We've got 12. Two eyes and one ear. Exactly, Eugene. Exactly. You need two ears. You need two eyes. You need to see things from both sides. And again, another thing, very important this. You don't have to agree with 100% of what I say. That's not the point. I don't have to agree with 100% of what you believe. But the common ground is that I appreciate your point of view, you appreciate my point of view. And we seem to have got to a place where that doesn't exist anymore. And I find that an absolute crying shame. So a key player in the sector has got a $250 million liquidity fund to foster the sustainable development of mid to large token projects. It promises strategic support and capital to derive real-world applications. So this fund has been added, and again, don't think this is a charitable fund. They will be taking positions in these projects. Think of it like Dragon's Den. People will be going to them with ideas. Through this fund, we double our commitment to accelerate innovation and adoption of Web3, said Andre, the managing partner. Now, again, what does this mean? It means if you go to them with your white paper and your plan and your project, and they think it's a great idea, they will say, right, we're going to take 10% allocation of the tokens or 10% share in your business, whatever way they're going to do it. And then we're going to give you $2, $3, $4, $5 million to accelerate your business. And in return, we're also going to give you access to our marketing partners, our advertising partners, our development teams or whatever. And basically not quite take over the project, but do the project in a certain way that gives them a hand. If you've watched Dragon's Den, this is Dragon's Den for crypto. And I think, again, I don't disagree with it. I think it's a good thing. There's a lot of businesses. Reggae Source. Have any of you heard of Reggae Source? It was a man, a Rastafarian, and he walked in to Dragon's Den years and years ago, and he brought his guitar in, and he played a song. to the Dragons, and he sang and he played his guitar and he sang his song, and his song had a catchy theme tune which ended in reggae sauce, and everyone was captivated by him, and he has made millions upon millions. I don't think he's been knighted yet by the king, but he was given an OBE or an MBE for services and whatever, and hits reggae sauce, and that's all he did. And so it can benefit. You know, there's loads of other examples. You know, there's cushions that have come out in cups and things like that that have, you know, changed the world slightly. And Dragon's Den is there. They are dragons. They will eat you. They will set you on fire, but they can also help grow your business. Right, 21 shares officially files for a Doge ETF, Doge price source. This is trash. Not a fan of Doge. People will always argue on X that Doge has so many validators, so many miners, so many of these, so many of that. It's fully decentralized. It's got all these things running on it. I just think it's there because it's the OG meme. The same way that you have Bored Apes. Why are Bored Apes still valued at $80,000 to $120,000? Because they're the first or second NFT that ever existed, and they've still got that reputation. So I'm not a fan of Doge. I've never been a fan of it, but they are going to file for an ETF. I personally don't think we should be getting meme coin ETFs at all. I don't think it should happen. But again, it's not the first one. They're all applying for it, and they're all likely to get it. But again, this is where I think we need some sense. Cardano, XRP, Solana, Ethereum, Bitcoin certainly should have ETFs. When you get down to maybe looking at Hedera and Algorand and Litecoin, why are they getting ETFs? What's the use case of Litecoin? What's the use case of Hedera? You know, back to that old question about existentialism. What is their reason to exist? What is their purpose? And I think we covered Hedera, didn't we, when they were looking at buying TikTok? Is it Hedera and TikTok? Again, it's a reason to exist. What is Doge's reason to exist? I don't know what it is. It's a meme coin. So would I buy this? Absolutely not. If I had $100,000 to invest in this, would I go anywhere near it? Absolutely not. And I would advise you strongly to go nowhere near it. Not financial advice. If you've got $10,000 and you've got a Bitcoin, an Ethereum, and a Doge ETF, you should be putting maybe $8,000 in Bitcoin and $2,000 in Ethereum and zero into Doge. That would be my allocation, because Bitcoin is the number one crypto. The number one. If you've got a portfolio and you are new to crypto and you don't have Bitcoin, and your time horizon is 5 or 10 or 20 years, and you don't own Bitcoin, then what are you doing? Because 75% of what exists today will not exist in 10 years' time. Maybe even 95% of cryptocurrencies that exist today will not exist in 10 years' time. If that's the case, why do you hold them? Why have you bought this token? Why do you hold that token? What's the motivation behind holding them? Bitcoin should be your number one. Okay, that should be your goal. Now, owning 0.01 Bitcoin should be your first goal. And currently that's what, $820 to own 0.1. So what's that? €600, £600. That should be your very first goal. Own 0.01 Bitcoin. Now, if you can afford it, you should own 0.1 Bitcoin. That's a lot more. That's $8,200 right now. That should be your next target. But if you're buying it over the next 10 years, buy $50 a week, $50 a month for the next 10 years, okay? And eventually, 5 or 6 years down the line, you'll look back and you'll say, oh my, I cannot believe how many Satoshis I managed to buy for $50 in 2025. I can't believe how much those Satoshis cost today. It will always go up over a very long time horizon. You should always hold Bitcoin. Cannot stress it enough. Now, why Bitcoin? Because every country on the planet is trying to get hold of Bitcoin. Even the top China, UK, America. Even those, you can go further down, El Salvador's of the world, you know, Bhutan's of the world. Pakistan are going to take their excess electricity and turn it into Bitcoin. Now, again, if your country generates 10 gigawatts of power and it uses 9 gigawatts of power, you are wasting 1 gigawatt of power. And it's very difficult to turn things off and on, especially if they're coal powered, for example. So what do you do with that excess electricity? Do you store it? You need a lot of batteries for that. Or do you just power Bitcoin machines and generate Bitcoin? So make money where money didn't exist before. Other people have used this. Oil rigs, for example, flaring, where they burn off the gas. They can convert that into electricity to then generate Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, rather than being a drain on a country, is what you would spend your excess electricity on. Okay, so this is a very wise move by Pakistan, in my opinion. The goal is to turn unused energy into profit by entering the fast-growing crypto space. This move could open new revenue opportunities, support the country's digital growth, and make better use of excess power. It also positions Pakistan to basically become greener in one way, because it's utilizing 100% of the energy that is being produced. And I suppose in some respects that's a good thing for these green climatey people. That seems to be it. Right, okay, perfect. So we're now going to go and talk a very little bit about cold wallets, because that was the question I was asked. And I want to give my honest opinion on this. And I've given it before, and I want to give it again. There we are. We're up. Any questions in chat? No, good. Okay, so very quickly then. Cold storage wallets are a little bit like a credit card. They're not very big. They're about that big. They're little tiny, remember the old calculators that you used to get, the little mini calculators? They're like that. And what they are is they are basically mini wallets that store various different cryptocurrencies. Some store 100, 150 different cryptocurrencies. The famous ones out there are Ledger and Trezor. They're the famous ones. But we, of course, had a show not many moons ago where we were giving away a one key wallet, which sounds really bad when you say it in English because it sounds wonky, which obviously is not a good thing. Now, before we even get into it, one thing: if you are new to crypto, do not buy one. If you have a portfolio with $500, do not buy one. They cost about $150. Some of them, the cheapest ones, I think you can get for about $90, $100, something like that. And the reason they're called cold storage is that you plug them into your computer, you load your crypto onto them, and then you unplug them, and then it goes cold. Now, what that means is it has no internet connection. So you could take that wallet, wrap it in a waterproof container, go to a storage unit or go to a safety deposit box, whatever it might be, put it in there and then leave it there. And nothing in the universe can get access to your crypto. Now, all of the exchanges use cold storage for the majority of their crypto. I think at any one point, they've got 3% of their assets in hot wallets for you to be able to take your money off an exchange. And you'll see all these people panic sometimes. You know, I can't get my money out. You know, I've tried to withdraw 10,000 Solana from this exchange. They're not giving me money. They've gone bankrupt, blah, blah, blah. And what that normally comes down to is the fact that that Solana isn't available and it's in cold storage. So somebody has to go and physically bring that Solana into a hot wallet and then send the money out. And we've seen the hack on that exchange. That was where the UI was attacked and they drained some wallets and things like that. Anyway, so cold storage is basically keeping it away from the internet in a place where it's cold. And when you connect anything to the internet, it becomes hot. So a hot wallet is Phantom, MetaMask, Trust Wallet, Soulflare. They are all hot wallets because they are connected. And you will have a browser add-on for these wallets, for example. And if you've got somebody trying to hack you and they put something on your computer, you know, they can get access to your hot wallet and take all your money. Okay. If you click the wrong link on Discord, if you click the wrong link on X, you've lost all your money. You've given permissions for them to open your wallet and take all your funds out. That's a hot wallet. So that's your second way you can keep your money. Cold is offline, in your purse or your wallet, storage unit, whatever it might be, and it's safe. Hot is connected to the internet. That's bad. That's the worst of them all, is a hot wallet. And then you have an exchange, and an exchange is for beginners and people with not a lot of funds. For me, the exchange is the best place for you to keep your funds. Now, everyone out there I know is going to disagree with that. But if you have your money on an exchange and you have two-factor authentication, if you have SMS authentication, if you have an anti-phishing code set up, if you have a passkey installed, if you have all of these things installed and you are a beginner or you have very few funds, that for me is the trade-off for the safest place to keep your money. Now, if an exchange goes bust, you've lost everything. Not your keys, not your crypto. So this is a decision you have to make. Do you invest $100 in this wallet to put your funds on that guarantee 100% safety? Or do you keep it on an exchange, which is seen through bear markets, brutal bear markets, whatever it might be? Do you keep your money on there, which is 99.9% safe? Or do you put it on a hot wallet, which is maybe 80% safe? They're your decisions. Now, for me personally, cold wallet is the best. Exchange is second. And a hot wallet, which is on your browser, that's the least safest of all. That will get you hacked and that will cost you all of your crypto if you don't know what you're doing. So there are your three options. For me personally, if you're new to crypto, keep your money on an exchange, but make sure you've got all your security settings turned on. So your SMS has to be turned on. Everything has to be turned on. But let's say you've got $10,000 in Bitcoin. I would go and get a cold storage wallet. I'd get a Trezor or a Ledger. I would go and get one of them and I'd put my $10,000 in Bitcoin onto it and I'd keep it safe. That's what I would do. But if you're not technically competent, it's very difficult for you or for me to sit here and say, go and get a cold storage wallet and move your crypto across to it. What happens if you lose the money? What happens if you listen to all these experts who say, get a cold storage wallet? If you don't do that, then you're going to lose all your money. Well, that's great, but what happens if you can't get the money onto your cold storage wallet or you can't get it back off your cold storage wallet? It's all well and good saying it's the best solution, which it is. It's only the best solution if you can use it. Okay? If I put you behind put you in the cockpit of a 747 and said, land that plane, and you've never set foot on a plane before, are you going to land the plane or are you going to crash it into the sea? Because that's what they're telling you to do. If you're not technically competent, you shouldn't go near a cold storage wallet. That's the simple, because you're going to lose your money. So for me, cold storage, exchange, hot wallet, in that order. If you're not technically competent and you're new to crypto, keep it on an exchange and turn all your security settings on. And that is all I'm going to say. I am back tomorrow. Now, we're supposed to be getting gale force winds tomorrow. So I'm either going to be live on my own or that chap is going to be live with me, the Oracle. One or the other, I will be here or the Oracle will be here with me tomorrow. I'm not too sure which, depending on the gale. It's supposed to be like 80-kilometer-an-hour winds, 90-kilometer-an-hour winds. It's supposed to be really, really windy, and it lasts from tonight all the way through till tomorrow night. I don't fancy walking down to the office to stream in gale force winds. Much as I love every one of you and treat your wallets and your crypto portfolios like my own, I don't want to be blown away. Okay, so thank you, everybody. I will see you in the morning at some point. I'm going to go and watch Black Mirror season 7 now with the Oracle today, and my wife, and drink hot drinks and wait for this storm to blow over. But thank you, everybody. Thank you, Jan. Thank you, Eugene. Thank you, KB. Thank you, Kishan, Mags, everybody else. Mags, did I ask a question? FET, actually, yeah, I'll do FET tomorrow. I'll put FET into the show for tomorrow. That's what I will do. We're going to look at FET on the show tomorrow because, again, I'll stick to my guns on certain things and I'll say I'm wrong on certain things. And I am absolutely not wrong on FET. I'm just not wrong on it. Now, the market might not agree with me. Price action might not agree with me, but I'm absolutely certain FET is going to be a success. Okay. Same with the ag layer and Polygon. It's going to be a success. Just the price isn't showing me that. Anyway, thanks everybody. Take care. See you in the morning. Ciao.